May 13, Trump stepped off the Air Force No. 1 dangerous boat. After 9 years, he visited China again as President of the United States. However, I want to talk to you today. It was the 17 American CEOs who came with him. Apple Cook, Tesla Musk, Boeing Otterberg, Memory Aviation Culp etc. plus Nvidia's Jensen Huang, who finally caught up. Why them? Did Trump pick it casually? Obviously not. The company's in the hands of these 17 CEOs. It is unclear from China. The way is unknown. A relationship that cannot be separated. What will they talk about? Sign what? Don't guess first. What I want to share are 17 stories. Each story is the origin of an American company and China. 1. Apple's the American who has been in the factory in China for 30 years. Winter of 1996. Shenzhen. Tim Cook, 36. The first time I walked into an electronics foundry in South China. The workshop was still very rudimentary, but the workers are in front of the assembly line. One kept welding the capacitor to the board. He didn't expect it. From that year onwards, I will come to China more than 100 times. I didn't expect it. China's electronics foundry industry. It will be tied to Apple for 30 years. Many people think Apple sells mobile phones in China. This is just the B-side. Fiscal year 2025. Apple's revenue in Greater China was $64.03 billion, 15.5% of the world. The aside is the supply chain. Apple has 200 core suppliers, more than 70%. There are factories in Chinese mainland. Zhengzhou Foxconn's heyday. The total number of workers is 350,000. What concept? A factory is a city. Apple brought it to China. Not just orders. It is a complete set of industrial upgrading paths, from accommodation patch to precision structural parts, glass craftsmanship, laser welding. Go up one level at a time. China's electronics manufacturing capabilities. There is a considerable part. Apple's yield rate is forced out. In turn, China has also saved Apple. Winter 2022. Zhengzhou Foxconn's production capacity declined due to the epidemic. The iPhone 14 Pro is almost out of work. Critical moments. Local governments help organize closed-loop recruitment, coordinate traffic epidemic prevention. Factory capacity quickly recovered. Stockouts at Apple retail stores across the United States. It also relieves it. The financial report of a $4 trillion company with a factory in Zhengzhou, Henan Province. The fever door. Hooked. How can this relationship be torn apart? It's hard. Cook is 65 years old. He comes to China almost every year. Some say he may be the American CEO who knows China best in the world. I believe it. So this time he might still want to take a look. Chinese supply chain. It's still not the same as that winter 30 years ago. Energizing. 2. Tesla. Shanghai saved Musk. One day in 2018, Musk tweeted on Twitter, said that he could only sleep 4 hours a day, sleeping on the factory floor most of the time. It was Tesla's hardest year. Model 3 is difficult to mass produce. Burn more than 100 million yuan every month. Analysts predict Tesla will go bankrupt in 18 months. At that time, its market capitalization is less than 4% today. 4th, it was Shanghai that saved Tesla. July 10, 2018. Musk flew to Shanghai. That day, Tesla signed an agreement with Shanghai Lingang, wholly owned a gigafactory. Note is a sole proprietorship. Before that, this is something that all foreign car companies dare not think of. Soon, Musk has seen China speed with his own eyes. Construction started in January 2019. After 10 months, the first Model 3 rolled off the assembly line. Traditional car companies build a new factory. It usually takes 3 to 5 years. What did Shanghai give Tesla? Land. Low-interest loans. There is also a green light approval all the way. So, later at the handover ceremony, you will see Musk can't help but dance. That may not be a performance. It is more like a real reaction for the rest of your life. Now, every Tesla in the world, one was made in Shanghai. The Shanghai factory is not just Tesla's Chinese business. It's the heart of its global business. If Shanghai hadn't opened that door 8 years ago, what will Tesla be today? It's hard to imagine. That door brought out $1 trillion book. 3. Boeing. The final process of the aircraft was placed in Zhejiang, Zhoushan. The Boeing story. We need to turn back the time to 1972. That year, shortly after Nixon's visit to China. China and the United States have not yet officially achieved result, but there was a business that preceded diplomatic relations. China ordered 10 707s from Boeing. This order was important for Boeing at the time. Those years, Boeing is experiencing unprecedented layoffs. It took 2 years to lose more than 60,000 people. Someone even wrote a sign on the door of Boeing. The last person to leave Seattle, please turn off the lights. Although China's order is only 10 aircraft, but it was a lifesaver for Boeing. Mainstream Western public opinion is also aware for the first time. This eastern country has purchasing power that cannot be underestimated. Half a century has passed. Today, China is Boeing's largest incremental market in the world. Boeing forecasts the next 20 years China needs more than 8,000 type aircraft. It accounts for 1/5 of the world's new demand. What's more, Boeing will be the first completion and delivery center outside the continental United States. It was placed in Zhoushan, Zhejiang. It puts the final process of the plane, the interior of the sprayed earth delivery, moved to China. Why Zhoushan? Because there are many Chinese customers. Rather than flying thousands of miles across the Pacific Ocean, it is better to let the plane wear a hat directly in mainland China. Zhoushan Delivery Center. It is the first time in Boeing's 110-year history. It is also the deepest binding between China and the United States in large-scale industrial manufacturing. However, Boeing's story took a turn for the worse on March 10, 2019. A series of accidents have caused Boeing to gradually lose orders from China. Roughly calculated past few years, it is likely to lose hundreds of billions of dollars in money pocket space. What to do? Maybe this time Boeing CEO Carl Ober was thinking. It was the 1972 deal. This Chinese market that once saved Boeing. Can you pull Boeing again? 4.GE Aviation, the heart of C919. For the time being, half of it is GE. May 5, 2017. Shanghai Ordinary Airport. Our own big plane. C919 made its first flight. Countless people burst into tears. Its fuselage, wings, avionics systems, many of them are made by ourselves. The overall localization rate has increased to 60%. But you probably know, the most important part of the aircraft is its heart, engine. This is the hardest bone. We are still nibbling. At present, the C919 uses a LiPo engine. It comes from a company called CFM. CFM is a joint venture between GE of the United States and Safran of France. In other words, the heart of C919. For the time being, half of it is GE. I believe, in the future, we will definitely be able to create this heart ourselves. But before that day comes, we choose openness and cooperation. And this choice led to GON Airlines, a deep binding with China's civil aviation industry. How deep? Every 2 civil aviation aircraft flying in China sky, at least the rack is equipped with a GE or CFM engine. It has exceeded 7,800 units. Nearly 5,000 units have been ordered. Selling an aircraft is a one-time thing, but the repair of the engine, spare parts, technology upgrades, it is a long-term business. For China's civil aviation, we need a proven powertrain, ensure safety and efficiency. For GON, the Chinese market is special, the cornerstone of its most profitable after-sales service business. This is the reality of cooperation. Maybe this trip to Beijing, it is to reaffirm this partnership that we need each other. 5. Qualcomm. Chinese mobile phones dragging half of Qualcomm. Open Qualcomm's earnings report. The proportion of revenue in China. You will see a number. 46%. Nearly half of its global revenue comes from China. Among these 17 companies, this is the highest proportion of revenue in China. But this 46% is not just what you and I contribute to buying mobile phones. And Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, these Chinese brands sold to the whole world to contribute. For example, Xiaomi sells a mobile phone in Europe. Qualcomm chips are used. This account will be recorded by Qualcomm in China because Xiaomi is headquartered in Beijing. This means that half of Qualcomm is in the country. It is supported by the global overseas expansion of Chinese mobile phone brands. The beginning of the story is 2002. China Unicom introduced Qualcomm's CDMA technology. China's first CDMA network was built. It is equivalent to casting a vote of confidence in Qualcomm. From then on, to the 3G era, and to this day, almost every domestic brand mobile phone, none of them can bypass Qualcomm's Snapdragon chip. Mobile phone manufacturers have to pay at least $2. One is chip money. One is the licensing fee for using 3G, 4G, and 5G standards. So Qualcomm cannot build factories in China, but it requires Chinese manufacturers to continue selling mobile phones, and sold all over the world. 6. Micron is controlled on the side. On the other hand, it increased by 4.3 billion yuan in 11. Many people may not know Micron. Let me help you build an impression first. The memory stick in your computer. The memory chip you use to store photos on your phone. It may all be made by Micron. As one of the world's 3 largest memory chip companies, Micron in fiscal year 2025, Chinese mainland revenue was $64 billion, down 13.3% year-on-year. This decline is not because the product is not good. Instead, it is regulated. May 2023. The Cyberspace Administration of China conducts a cybersecurity review of Micron products. The conclusion is that it does not pass. This means China's critical information infrastructure operator. Micron products should not be sourced. As a result, Micron lost a large number of sources from communications, Yunfu, finance, major customers in the fields of energy and other fields. That year, Wall Street is in a bad mood, said that Micron would completely withdraw from China. But just a month after the review results came out, Micron announced in the coming years an additional investment of 4.3 billion yuan was made in 11 expansion of packaging and testing base while being officially named, while continuing to increase investment. That's what Micron is doing in China. Why? Because of Micron's 11 base. It has been in operation since 2006, 20 years. It employs more than 4,500 people. It starts with a common packaging and testing plant. It has grown into one of Micron's most important packaging and testing bases in the world. Factory got lock it and close it. But the packaging process, quality control experience, local supplier relationship, it's not that you can turn it off. If Micron leaves 11, reorganize a set of packaging and testing systems. Time spent. Enough for Samsung and SK Hynix. Eat up customers. So you see, Micron's China ledger. The first half of the page says retreat. The second half of the page says plus. This is his real physical state. For him, de-risking at the company level. It is not the same as desynchronization. 7. Coherent. Never heard of it. But half of Ari's computing power depends on it. This is a company you may have never heard of, but you use it almost every day. For example, you can see this video today. Behind it is invisible data run in the light. It is not electricity that runs in the light. It's light, and let the electricity change light. The petty integrity of photo transformer. It's called an optical module. Coherent. It is one of the world's key optical module suppliers. Fiscal year 2025. Coherent had revenue of $680 million in China, accounting for about 13%. This order of magnitude doesn't sound like much, but China is one of its top 3 single markets in the world. It's not about revenue. There is also the customer structure. Coherent's downstream customers. It's Ali, Tencent, ByteDance, Huawei Cloud. They are all expanding their data centers from Zhangjiago, Guian, to the Ulan-T department in Inner Mongolia. One after another, super-large cloud computing parks have risen from the ground. Every campus requires countless optical modules. Its midstream partner is Zhongshuan Innovation. The former is the world's first. The latter is the third in the world. The two companies combined, it has eaten up more than half of the global data center optical transceiver market. In their optical modules, the key laser devices often come from Coherent. Today's Coherent is in a salary increase position. China's data center construction directly affects its optical module business. U.S. export controls on China's Ari computing power. It also directly affects its supply chain cooperation in China. So it comes. 8. Illumina was banned from the gene sequencing network for 9 months. Maybe you've heard such a statement. Many pregnant women have to do unparalleled prenatal genetic testing before giving birth. A considerable part of the machines used for this type of inspection. They all use machines from the same company, Illumina's sequencer. Historically, the Chinese market can account for 13% of its revenue. But in the third quarter of 2025, Greater China revenue fell by about 30% year-on-year. What happened? Because in February 2025, China's Ministry of Commerce has placed Illumina on the list of unreliable entities. This means hospitals, research institutes, and third-party testing institutions in China taking advantage of the trend to move to a more stable local solution. But 9 months passed. The ban was suddenly lifted. Although it is still on the list of unreliable entities, if you want to buy, you must go through approval. And gene sequencing is a business. Long-term market view. The market looks at the population. China has a population of 1.4 million newborns per year, nearly 300 million elderly people over 60. Prenatal screening from transportation inspection to tumor testing, chronic disease screening. This is not a small market, but the next few decades, tens of billions of big business. BGI Manufacturing. Seneca is a domestic company. Rapid development is catching up. So behind this, it's not just Illumina's business in China. It is also the health needs of China's 1.4 billion people and a new industry that is growing. This time Illumina came to China. Maybe he wanted to push that door open a little more, but the initiative is already in the hands of the Chinese themselves. 9. Family scenery. That plate of diced chicken you ate tonight, it may have been delivered. This company is the largest privately held company in the United States. Global revenue in fiscal 2025 will be $154 billion, 70% higher than Boeing's entire company revenue. It is the world's largest oil food supply chain giant, but you may still be a little unfamiliar with it because it is doing a disadvantageous industrial chain business. The milk you drink in the morning, it may come from the feed provided by Jiaji to feed the cows. The braised pork you eat at noon, it may be a pig raised with Jiaji feed. Jiaji in China is a kind of thing that sounds far away, but very close. Today, he has more than 7,000 employees in China, more than 50 business stores, 4 soybean crushing and refining plants, his Jilin corn processing facility. In 2020, an additional $110 million was added. In the same year, he has his agricultural supply chain Asia-Pacific headquarters in Shanghai, upstream of Jiaji, connecting farms in the United States and South America. His downstream, connected to China's feed companies, meat and poultry breeding enterprises, food processing plant. A tree is planted. It will take decades. Cut off. It only takes a few seconds. No one wants to let the tree fall because China's 1.4 billion people want to eat. American farmers also want to sell soybeans. 10 city in China. They have been doing it for 124 years. In all the big banks in the United States, the earliest to take root in China was Citi. May 15, 1902. Cixi is still in the market. Guangzhou was placed under house arrest. That year, Citi's predecessor was on the Bund in Shanghai, opened its first branch in Asia. In 124 years, Citi also had its most difficult moment. On the eve of the liberation of Shanghai in 1949, almost all foreign banks on the Bund are blowing up. Citigroup also withdrew, thought he would never come back, but they were wrong. In 1983, Citi returned to Beijing. In 2007, it became a local corporate bank in China. Now 70% of Fortune 500 branches in China are its customers. In the past 5 years, Citi has raised more than $300 billion globally for Chinese companies. Behind many of the stories of large Chinese companies going overseas, almost all of them have the shadow of Citi. 124 years of relationship. It's not something that can be changed by looking at revenue figures alone. In recent years, Citi has done a rare thing in China. Accurate results. Shut down China's retail banking. Cut about 3,500 technology ports. Leave institutional banking services. Its logic is always clear. Serving multinational corporations. It also serves the cross-border fund management of China's leading enterprises. Trade finance. Forex trading needs. So this time I went along. Citi wants to see it. Maybe it's the root that was planted in 1902. Can it continue to stretch down? And last night, Citi has already received a greeting gift, the 7th wholly foreign-owned brokerage license in China. 11. Goldman Sachs opens a door. They waited 17 years. Goldman Sachs story theme. Christmas star. In 2004, Goldman Sachs got its first ticket to enter China's securities industry. Equity 33%. But 33% of the voice is not enough. Decision-making is necessary to do securities business. Risk control. Cultural coordination. 33% of the right to speak. You can't do what you want. So Goldman Sachs has been waiting. And other rhythms of China's capital market opening. Open this door a little wider. Wait until 2021. The China Securities Regulatory Commission officially approved Goldman Sachs to take a 100% capital stake in its Chinese company, renamed Goldman Sachs China Securities. It is the history of China's securities industry, the first securities company to be 100% controlled by foreign capital. 17 years. What concept? It can go through 2 rounds of economic cycles. It can also go through 4 terms as President of the United States. This is the time Goldman Sachs has spent to open its doors in China. Those 17 years of waiting. What did you get in exchange? In exchange for an opportunity. It can do IPOs for top Chinese companies, do mergers and acquisitions, do wealth management, from ICBC to Alibaba. Many of China's top companies are on the list of IPOs. Goldman Sachs is almost never absent. In 2021, Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon said, China is the most important market for Goldman Sachs in the next 10 years. The attitude behind this sentence is clear. Long-term investment is not a short-term retreat. So visiting China is an opportunity, a chance to open the door bigger at once. 12. BlackRock manages $14 trillion in people. In China, $12.3 billion was made first. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager. He has about $14 trillion in assets under management. This is almost equivalent to 70% of China's national GDP. Such a big money bag. What are you doing in China? In 2021, BlackRock obtained the first batch of foreign-owned wholly-owned public fund licenses in China. This means he can do business directly with ordinary Chinese people. Now, his arm in China. It is about 12.3 billion yuan. With him $14 trillion in the world. Not even a fractional one. But it's not a disappointing number. This is a start. China has more than 200 trillion investable assets for residents. This is the global asset management industry, one of the largest gold mines in the next 20 years. BlackRock just qualified. Dig the first production in this gold mine. So CEO Larry Funk came this time. The message you want to convey may be simple. We are just starting in China. 13. Blackstone. The source of logistics near your home may be his. Blackstone is one of the world's largest alternative asset managers. Assets under management are approximately $1.275 trillion. Office building, long-term rental apartments, life sciences laboratory, everything that can be seen and touched. Assets that can collect rent. He will take care of it. But Blackstone's core asset in China. It is a source of logistics. On the logistics platform of Dragon Core, there are 42 logistics parks distributed in 19 cities in China. In addition, it has a majority stake in the largest logistics park in the Greater Bay Area. In Shanghai, Westlink office and commercial complex, Aroma Garden rental apartments are also its assets. But things changed in 2025. There are media disclosures. Blackstone is negotiating with Ping an insurance. The sale period is in 11 logistics parks in China. The valuation exceeds 100 billion yuan. Its downstream rental warehouse is JD.com, Alibaba, and a large number of third-party logistics companies. Its money is on the buyer side. It is a large-scale Chinese investment like Ping An. This story is almost foreign-funded, a typical case of building a good value-added shot in China. And such a story, there is a high probability that it will continue to be staged. 14. MasterCard. In order to do RMB clearing in China, he has been gone for 16 years. MasterCard is the second largest payment network in the world. The market capitalization is $451.07 billion. But he couldn't get into China for a long time. May 2024. MasterCard and China Netlink's joint venture company MasterCard, officially approved by the central bank, started in China, handle RMB bank card clearing business. This means everything has reached the first truly enter the RMB clearing market in China, international payment network. For this day, he waited 16 years. Now MasterCard brand RMB cards. It can already be accepted and liquidated in China. Of course, the business is still in its infancy. So, the CEO of Wanshida came to China this time. I may be at ease in my heart. He has already got his ticket. The rest. Just look at the huge market of China. How far can it go? However, his counterpart, Visa, it's not that easy. 15. Visa. I waited 31 years for the license. I haven't gotten it yet. Visa. It is the world's largest payment network. The market capitalization is $552.05 billion, more than Boeing and Goldman Sachs combined. But to this day, he has not yet obtained a RMB clearing license in China. Since 1993, the office was set up in Beijing. Visa has been waiting outside the door for 31 years. Visa's business situation in China today. It is a double-standard card issued in cooperation with large commercial banks in China. That is, Visa plus Silver Chain. Chica people trade in China. It is still cleared by the Silver Chain. Cross-border transactions step on the Visa network. Seeing the peer MasterCard, it has obtained a domestic RMB clearing license. I am still empty-handed. Visa was inevitably anxious, but he won't give up easily. A payment market for 1.4 billion people who can give up, do business. Sometimes it's not just smart, it is also endurance. 16. Meta. The user is not in China. The customer is in China. Meta is familiar to everyone, but it can also be the one that makes you feel the most magical. Facebook under Meta. Instagram, WhatsApp. There is no ordinary business in China, so why did it follow? The answer is a word that we are very familiar with. Go to see. In 2024, Meta from Chinese advertisers earned about $18.04 billion. What concept? That's about 1/10 of its global advertising revenue. The money came from the small boss of Yiwu, from Shane, special recruitment. It also comes from a large number of Chinese cross-border merchants. They want to advertise on Meta, sell made in China to the world. So, you see the difference between Meta and China. That magical but reasonable relationship. The user is not in China, but the customer is in China. This is a very special kind of dependence. You cut off Meta. It is equivalent to closing China's overseas sellers, the largest global flow faucet. China cuts off Meta. It is equivalent to letting Chinese e-commerce. There is one less main battlefield for merchants. It hurts on both sides, and it was an embarrassing pain. 17. Huang Renxuan, the man who boarded Air Force One at the last minute. The story of the finale is left to Huang Renxuan. I don't count the story of Nvidia. More interesting. It is Huang Renxuan's replacement this time. May 11th. The White House announced the list of 16 people. There is no Huang Renxuan. May 13th. He was photographed at the Alaska airport. Follow Trump at night. Landing in Beijing together. What happened in the middle? It is said that Trump personally made a phone call early in the morning. Huang Renxuan, who filled the position, sat in the 17th chair. The body is superimposed with triple identities. First, the most important chip supplier in the RE era, holding the engine of the ARM model in his hand. Second, the most sensitive party in the CNOS technology game. In the past year, he has been running for chips. Third, a Chinese American who bought vegetables at a Shanghai vegetable market. Huang Renxuan, who frequently visits China. It has been seen in the vegetable market more than once, laughing and chatting with the uncles in the coat. So, maybe we don't need to speculate too much. Why didn't the White House pull it up until the last minute? The key is to see one thing. Huang Renshuan is here. He came. It is the biggest signal. The 17 stories are finally finished. I was just about to close my phone. The screen suddenly lit up again. A piece of news popped up. At this moment, I suddenly felt United States and China. It's like two pieces of tape that have been connected together. You are going to die. The tape will break. It hurts on both sides. You don't tear. They continued to connect. Relationships are never one way. They gave Chinese technology, capital, and efficiency. China also gave them a market, supply chain, and time. These 2 years, you are probably decoupled. Trade war. The words are cut exhaustingly. But the real world, more complex than slogans. It is also more stable. Of course, stability does not mean unchanged. The glue part will also stretch slowly. Deformation, migration, fix. Those 17 American bosses is retaking their Chinese ledgers. Maybe you can take advantage of this opportunity to recalculate your global ledger. Who do you sell your product to? Where is your core supply chain? In your overseas major customers, how many are cross-share companies? These things are thought out. You won't be insured by the hustle and bustle outside. It's noisy outside. Your ledger is light. Your feet are stable. Pay attention till you run. Lower the cognitive threshold of business.